aunque estás en mejor vida, tu bella alma hoy descansa.
It was a Tuesday evening in Zapopan, April 22nd, just after 6:30 p.m., the kind of evening where the air smells like heat and fruit stands. Valeria Marquez had just pressed go live. 22 years old. Popular, yes, but not for scandal. She posted beauty tips, makeup tutorials, skincare hacks for dark skin. People followed her because she felt safe to watch. She wore a lilac tank top, hair pulled back in a silk wrap. There was a half-finished smoothie on her desk. And for a moment, it was just another giveaway live stream. Comments rolled in. Hearts floated up the screen. She laughed at something a fan wrote. Then, she looked up. Not at the screen. To her left. And then a gunshot. Her voice cut mid-sentence. The phone trembled, tilted, then hit the floor. No scream. No cry for help. Only the soft clatter of plastic. An emotionless ceiling fan in the frame. By 6:34 p.m., over 3,000 people were still watching, and no one could understand what they were looking at. The video lasted 17 more seconds. Long enough for the world to start asking the same question. What just happened to Valeria? On the top floor of a beauty lounge that bore her name, 24-year-old Valeria Marquez adjusted the soft ring light in front of her face. The reflection in the lens showed no fear, no panic, just a woman used to being seen, perfect, polished, unbothered. She tapped the screen of her phone. The red dot blinked. She was live. In the corner of the screen, messages flooded in. Hola, Reina. What lip combo is that? You look too calm, loudly crying face, what's going on? Valeria leaned closer to the camera, adjusted her gold hoop earring, then paused, mid-sentence. Her eyes shifted, just slightly, toward the salon door. She smiled, but it wasn't real. Eerie's too. And then, the feed went dark. But to understand that moment, you have to understand her rise. Valeria Marquez was the kind of beauty they didn't put on billboards in Guadalajara 10 years ago. Afro-Latina, morena, loud, in the way only truth-tellers are. Her father was gone before she could walk. Her mother, a night shift custodian at the Guadalajara Cathedral, raised her on single pesos and stories about God not skipping anyone, only taking his time. She won Miss Carta Angel in 2021, Miss Angel Face. But it wasn't the crown that made people follow her. It was how she wore it. Valeria didn't chase trends. She challenged them. She went viral by posting her nighttime routine with $8 products. She taught dark-skinned girls how to contour without looking gray. She called out Mexican brands that erased women who looked like her. And she did it in Spanglish, always proud of her roots. Her videos weren't perfect. That was the point. Sometimes her baby hairs were uneven. Sometimes her laugh cracked mid-sentence. Sometimes her ring light died halfway through a product review. But she never filtered the truth. By the end of 2023, Valeria wasn't just an influencer. She was a movement, a voice for the unseen, a mirror for girls the industry never looked at twice. She opened Cruz Beauty Lounge that October, right in the heart of Zapopan, where the streets are clean, the coffee costs triple, and the neighbors pretend they don't hear sirens after dark. Everyone called it a success. But someone, somewhere, saw it as something else. You're too pretty to be walking around alone, her cousin once told her. She laughed it off. But she stopped replying to DMs from private accounts. She stopped checking her mail at night. And 3 weeks before the live stream, she asked her landlord if she could install another lock. The day before she went live, Valeria posted a story. A selfie with no makeup. Caption: real skin, real scars, real me. By morning, she was dressed in ivory silk, twisting gloss on her lips in slow, careful strokes. She knew someone was coming. Someone with a delivery. But no one knew what. Or who she expected. No one ever saw her post again. Just a 47-minute live stream. Frozen at 10:27 a.m. Her mouth parted. Her brows drawn. A flicker of tension in her jaw, and that final question. Eerie's too. A question the police would spend weeks trying to answer. But maybe the real question was, who had she been expecting? And why was that her last sentence? A question. On Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. 4:12 p.m. Zapopan, Jalisco. Valeria Marquez sat at her custom-lit desk, skin glowing under the ring light, her smile just slightly slower than usual. She welcomed her followers with the same soft-spoken confidence that had built her empire, except today, her voice carried a tension that didn't match her words. In her final livestream, titled Midweek Faves Plus Surprise Drop, Valeria dabbed highlighter on her cheekbones and casually mentioned someone was sending her a gift. They said it was from a brand, but why didn't he just leave it at the desk downstairs? She laughs nervously. Weird, right? To the thousands watching, it sounded like small talk. But to those who knew her, her mother, her assistant, even a few fans in the comments, something about her tone felt off. Her sentences were clipped. Her eyes kept shifting slightly to the hallway, like she was listening for something. Then came the moment everyone now watches frame by frame. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted. And just as she turned her face, a noise off camera. She clutched her chest, stumbled sideways, and disappeared from frame. At first, many assumed it was staged. A brand prank. A beauty stunt. It took 9 minutes before the live feed was finally cut. By then, Valeria Marquez was already gone. Eyewitnesses reported 2 men on black Italika motorbikes circling the block minutes before the shooting. No license plates. Both wore delivery bags, one with a faded Rappi logo, the other completely blank. According to the vendor outside, they parked just beyond view of the condo security booth. One dismounted, adjusted his gloves, and walked toward the building. He wore a helmet with a mirrored visor. Security cameras captured him at the lobby entrance. He spoke just one sentence to the front desk concierge. Tengo una entrega para la señorita Cruz. I have a delivery for Miss Cruz. He was buzzed in. 12 seconds later, a sharp, percussive sound echoed from the hallway of her 5th-floor apartment. Another witness, her neighbor, later told investigators he heard what he thought was a champagne cork. Then the whine of motorbikes retreating. Whoever sent that courier didn't just know where she lived. They knew how she branded herself. Valeria Marquez, aka Monty Cruz, was 23. She had never posted her address, never tagged her apartment building. Her delivery instructions were handled by an assistant. She hadn't opened PR packages herself in nearly a year. So what changed that day? And why did she sound like she expected him? She asked, why didn't he just leave it downstairs? But what if she already knew the answer? Would you still open the door? Drop your thoughts in the comments. They call it the Beverly Hills of Guadalajara, a place where imported roses bloom in sidewalk gardens, valet drivers hustle Teslas past jacaranda trees, and mezcal spritzes arrive at your table before you can check your notifications. Zapopan looks like money, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Because behind every penthouse skyline, there's another skyline made of vanished faces. Since 2018, more than 15,000 people have disappeared in Jalisco. And while authorities rarely say it directly, U.S. reports have made it clear. Zapopan is more than just wealthy. It's a front. Cartel proxies laundering money through luxury real estate, salons, spas, and seemingly harmless cafes. You walk past a bakery. Smells like almond and honey. But the owner? His last business partner turned up in a ravine 2 summers ago. You don't ask. No one asks. The silence isn't fear. It's etiquette. Valeria Marquez chose this place to build her dream. Cruz Beauty Lounge. Gold-framed mirrors. Recycled wood floors. Afro-conscious skincare. It was the kind of place that made women feel safe, seen, beautiful. But even the most beautiful places carry invisible rules. You're only safe if you're useful. You're only ignored if you're silent. Valeria had been neither. A few weeks before her death, she received a DM. No profile photo. No name. Just one line. Beauty has a price. Be careful who pays it. Her friend said she brushed it off, laughed, blocked the account. But her assistant later told investigators something strange. That someone, a man, had come to Cruz Beauty Lounge in the middle of the day, wearing dark glasses, and asked to speak to the owner. When told Valeria wasn't in, he left. No name. No appointment. Just walked out. The CCTV had glitched. That day's footage? Corrupted. And the part people never mention? Her salon sat just 2 kilometers from where a former congressman was shot dead that same afternoon. Different motives. Same silence. Because in Zapopan, you can be rich, respected, and radiant. But you can also be watched. And the more people watching, the harder it becomes to know who sent them. You could live your whole life in a place like Zapopan, thinking you were building something real. But what if you were just decorating someone else's stage? When Valeria unlocked her storefront that morning, she had no idea she was opening more than just a door. Before Valeria Marquez was a case file, before the candles and hashtags, she was a carefully constructed version of herself. Her Instagram bio read, beauty, brains, boundaries. But scroll through her 237,000 followers, and it's clear, the boundaries blurred. She built an empire by being visible. Lip gloss tutorials with ocean views. Fashion hauls from boutiques most people in Guadalajara only pass on Sundays. Helicopter shots over Tulum. Room service breakfast from suites that cost more per night than her mother once made in a month. Her TikTok had 109,000 followers. Her highest performing video wasn't a product tutorial or skincare tip. It was a 6-second clip, laughing on a yacht, with a caption, "I only post what they already know." Except someone thought she was posting too much. 1 week before the murder, Valeria uploaded a now-deleted Instagram story. It showed the blurred edge of a man's watch, a tattooed wrist, and 2 glasses of mezcal. Nothing remarkable, until viewers noticed the tablecloth. A signature pattern, same as the VIP room of El Circulo, a private club known for its connections to 2 prominent families, both rumored to launder money through Zapopan real estate. Valeria never tagged him, but her DMs exploded. Hours later, she posted a single message in black text on a beige background. "You don't scare me." The next morning, her phone pinged with a strange airdrop request. "Keep talking." She declined. But she did something else. She started recording. Detectives later confirmed her phone had 7 encrypted audio files. 6 were unrecoverable. The 7th was labeled March 2 to 1:44 a.m. The contents have never been released. Trolls had long asked, how does she afford it? Close friends said she avoided the question, even privately. But one confidant, who asked not to be named, told investigators that Valeria once joked, "He buys silence. I just charge more." When asked who he was, she answered, "Let's just say, his last name ends in money." The investigators laughed. Valeria didn't. By the time she died, she had blocked over 300 counts. At least 2 of them were later linked to burner numbers registered to a business under federal investigation. Her online presence was her power, but it was also her shadow. Every post, every tag, every timestamp told someone exactly where she was. The courier didn't find her by accident. Fame gave her visibility, but also gave someone a roadmap. And the more she gained followers, the more she lost cover. She wanted her followers to see everything. But maybe that was the mistake. Because someone out there was watching too, and they didn't hit like, have you ever posted something online and then immediately deleted it? What were you afraid of? Drop your answers in the comments. 3 weeks before the gunshots echoed across Zapopan, Valeria Marquez sent a voice note to her best friend, Kenya. Her tone wasn't dramatic, just flat, just tired. She said, "If anything happens to me, check my ex." She didn't elaborate, didn't cry, didn't say his name out loud, but Kenya knew who she meant. Diego Ventura, older, wealthy, a local developer with deep roots and deeper secrets. He wore polished shoes and whispered warnings. Some people called him charming. Valeria called him unreadable. They had dated quietly for about a year, just after a beauty lounge went viral. At first, he gave her flowers, flew her out to Oaxaca for weekends. But the bloom faded fast. Friends said she stopped posting for 2 months, lost weight, canceled events. One day, she told Kenya, "He's living 2 lives, and I don't think I'm supposed to know that." Valeria broke up with him in April. By June, her closest friends say she had changed. She jumped at car horns. She looked over her shoulder in cafes. Her mother noticed she stopped answering the door without checking the peephole first. Still, no restraining order. No police report. 3 days before her murder, surveillance footage shows a black Range Rover circling her salon twice between 2 o'clock and 2:20 p.m. The plates were blurred. The driver's face? Unclear. But digital forensics later showed that Diego's mobile phone pinged near the area at exactly 2:08 p.m. Cell tower logs confirmed it. That same evening, Valeria deleted her location history from Google Maps. 2 days before her death, she texted Kenya again. "You remember what I said about my ex? Just keep in your mind, okay?" Then she sent a screenshot. A bank alert. Marin Holdings has withdrawn 35,000 Mexican pesos from your account. She never authorized the transfer. And Marin Holdings? Registered as one of 5 shell companies tied to Diego's name. All untraceable on paper. All legally sound. But prosecutors would later call them financial shadows, silent, legal tools to bleed people without leaving fingerprints. On the morning of the murder, she wore white. Kenya said it was rare for her. She usually dressed bold, loud, powerful. But that day she looked soft, exposed. She smiled for her live stream, sipped from champagne flute. But when she heard the knock, something changed. She went quiet. You can hear in the clip. Her voice thins, almost disappears. Then she says it. Why didn't he just drop the gift off? She was expecting someone. But whom? Seconds later, she clutched her chest, collapsed. And behind the noise of glass shattering, you can hear it. A man's voice. "Are you Valeria Marquez?" Then gunfire. And everything goes black. Police searched for Diego within hours. But his legal team filed for an injunction. He vanished from the city by midnight. No arrest. No interview. Just vapor. But her phone still held something. A final unsent message, typed at 6:27 a.m. that morning. It read, "I'm scared I waited too long to tell the truth." She never pressed send. So if someone tells you who to watch, but the system never looks, whose hands carry the blame? Hers, his, or ours? And if fear has no fingerprints, how do you ever prove it was real? On that Thursday morning by 9:41 a.m., Valeria Marquez logs onto Instagram Live. Lip gloss perfect. Curls brushed back. She thanked her followers. Mentions a delivery. Smiles. But the only thing that ever arrived was death. Investigators knew something was off. The live stream hadn't been archived, but parts were screen recorded. One line stood out. "We're about to unbox a little something one of y'all sent me." But when homicide detectives pulled the delivery log for that morning, there was nothing addressed to the salon. No driver. No scanner ID. No package. No record. Surveillance footage from a corner pharmacy told a different story. 2 motorcycles. 9:36 a.m. One rider waits near the intersection. The other parks half a block from the salon. Rear view helmet. Gray hoodie. Pink box in hand. He walks like he's done this before. Casual. Controlled. Confident. At 9:40 a.m., he reaches the entrance. He doesn't knock. He doesn't speak. He pulls a .38 revolver from the gift trap and fires twice. One to the chest. One to the abdomen. By the time her assistant screams, he's already straddling the bike. Gone in 12 seconds. He came with a box and left with her life. Inside the pink box wasn't electronics or PR products. Just a single white gardenia, pressed beneath tissue paper. No note. No label. No florist info. Just a perfectly bloomed flower, centered like a calling card. To many, a gardenia meant purity. To some, silence. But in Veracruz cartel circles, it carried a darker meaning. Your beauty speaks too loud. One detective quietly muttered at the scene. This wasn't a murder. This was a warning. 3 months earlier, someone else close to Valeria had received a gardenia. It arrived at a gated compound in Las Lomas. No one talked about it publicly, but sources say it was addressed to the Ventura family. Then came the strangest detail of all. Her live stream was still open after she fell. The camera caught blurred feet, panic screams, sirens in the distance, and then a faint voice, off camera, just before the screen turned black. Ella no era la que hablaría. Era 2. She wasn't the one who would talk. You were. So what was inside that box? A threat dressed in tissue paper? A final message for someone else watching? Or a brutal reminder that silence isn't always enough? If she wasn't the target, who was? Valeria wasn't just a beauty entrepreneur in Zapopan. She was an emerging symbol of modern Latina success. By the time she turned 27, her Instagram had 223,000 followers. Her TikTok was on the verge of crossing 100K. Her content was sharp, aspirational, and unapologetic. Luxury skincare routines, private jet stories from Tulum, champagne bottles and yachts anchored just off Cartagena. But where there's beauty and reach, there's often rage. She got too big too fast. People don't like that here. And I don't mean the public. I mean the men. And the women they keep close. Jada was one of the last influencers Valeria publicly collaborated with. Their partnership was vibrant at first, matching robes, glowing skincare reviews, but ended abruptly. Whispers circulated that Jada received threats shortly after appearing in one of Valeria's reels. She refused to post the final paid content. Jada said, "After that reel hit 50,000 views in a day, someone messaged me. Just a username. No profile pic. They wrote, 'Don't help her shine. She's not who you think.' I blocked it. But 2 nights later, same message, different account. That's when I backed out. These weren't isolated incidents. Screenshots obtained by investigators reveal over 30 accounts used to harass Valeria between June and August. The content ranged from slut-shaming to explicit death threats. One message simply read, "Everything you've got can disappear in one shot." The most disturbing part? IP data traced 5 of the accounts to a single VPN service used just 2 kilometers from her salon. But with no subpoena and no formal complaint, authorities hit a wall. Zapopan's cyber unit was understaffed. The femicide protocol, triggered after Valeria's murder, includes online abuse as a risk factor. But that only matters if someone listens before the funeral. The week before she died, she told me she'd been deleting DMs before opening them. She said it was like inviting poison through your screen. That's her phrase. I never forgot it, said a friend. But the toxicity wasn't just online. Offline, things had started to shift. Valeria's posts became less frequent. Her captions, once bright and sales-driven, turned vague. You'd be surprised who's watching. Not all eyes bring light. Some gifts are meant to explode. Behind the curtain of filters and sponsorships, Valeria was isolating herself. Kenya, her best friend, told investigators Valeria stopped attending Sunday brunches, something she never missed. Her WhatsApp last seen became inconsistent. She changed her salon's delivery policy, refusing to accept third-party couriers. But she never filed a police report. Not one. Because in Zapopan, a report doesn't guarantee safety. It only confirms your fear. And for women who build something of their own, fear can become second skin. In an internal memo leaked after the murder, one detective speculated that Valeria's shooting may have been connected to ongoing gender-based targeting within digital spaces tied to her online image. But without a suspect, the theory stalled. In Jalisco, femicide is an official classification. But justice? That's unofficial. In 80% of such cases, no one is convicted. And when ambition is read as arrogance, independence as defiance, the punishment can be silent, slow, and final. She didn't know which message would be her last, but she knew someone was watching. Not a follower, not a fan. Something darker. Something that envied the way she rose and couldn't stand it. And if envy is quiet, what does its echo sound like with a gun? Valeria Marquez's name is now being tossed around alongside some of the most feared initials in Mexico. CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. 3 days after her murder, investigators pull fragments from Valeria's cloud backup. Among them, a deleted voice note, recorded weeks before her death, never sent. Valeria's voice, nervous but calm. You ever feel like someone's watching, but they want you to know? I'm not stupid. I just don't know how to prove it without blowing everything up. Attached to the file was a single name in the subject line. Lupe Plaza. Valeria's salon wasn't just a beauty destination. It sat directly across the street from Plaza Lupe, a shopping center previously raided by Mexican military police on suspicion of being used for laundering cartel money. According to real estate records, the salon space had changed hands 4 times in 3 years, always under shell companies. The final transfer, 6 months before Valeria signed her lease, involved a name, Corporativo Escorpion S.A., a firm previously flagged for irregular wire transfers in a 2022 banking audit. None of this had been disclosed to her. If she knew who owned that plaza, she never would have opened there. People in this business learn fast that the real landlords don't need to sign the lease to control the building. Surveillance shows a white SUV circling Valeria's salon 2 days before the shooting. License plate, fake. The driver, wearing mirrored sunglasses, never exiting the vehicle. A witness, her neighbor, Lupita, tells police she saw the man later that day handing something to a man on a motorcycle. 2 days later, a man with a pink box walked into Valeria's salon. 1 minute later, she was bleeding on the floor. 6 months before her death, Valeria received a DM on Instagram. The account had no followers and no profile photo. The message read, La reina debe saber que sus días de hablar están contados. The queen should know her days of talking are numbered. She screenshotted it, sent it to her cousin in Atlanta with the caption, just internet crazy people, right? She never reported it to authorities. 2 weeks after Valeria's death, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum confirms that federal investigators have been assigned to the case. But inside Jalisco, the tone is different. Jalisco State Prosecutor Arturo Zarate, during a press conference. At this time, we see no evidence of cartel involvement. We believe this was a personal dispute. Off camera, one journalist records him saying under his breath, "She got too close to something. We all know that. But you expect me to put CJ&G in a public file?" The clip is leaked. The journalist vanishes days later. She wanted to build something for herself. A name. A future. Maybe even a kingdom. But in Zapopan, power isn't earned, it's borrowed. And borrowed power always comes due. Was Valeria Marquez just a victim of love and jealousy? Or was she collateral damage in a war no one dares name? The internet had always been Valeria Marquez's arena, her mirror, her marketplace, her battleground. But after her murder, investigators turned the lens back around, and what they found inside her DMs felt more like a confession booth than a crime scene. The posts didn't stop when she died. They multiplied. Her last Instagram story had over 3,000 comments. But detectives weren't interested in the condolences. They were looking for the watchers, the ones who were already there before the final frame. And buried beneath praise and heartbreak were messages like needles in a bouquet. You're not untouchable. Remember that. You got loud. Now watch yourself disappear. We gave you chances. You wanted followers instead. Most came from throwaway accounts. No profile pictures, no bios, no connections. But then one cracked. Using advanced metadata analysis and server subpoenas, cybercrime agents traced a particular burner account that had messaged Valeria 3 times the week before she died. The last message simply said, "Time's up, Muneca." The IP address pinged to a defunct smoothie bar in Zapopan, closed for months, but still connected to a private Wi-Fi network. That lease, registered under a shell company, belonged to a man named Christian Rios, a name not on the suspect list, but one that sent a chill through Valeria's family. Christian wasn't just a ghost landlord. He was the younger cousin of Esteban Rios, the ex-boyfriend with the controlling streak, the one she'd left behind over a year ago, but who, according to Kenya, never truly let her go. Kenya said, "She told me Esteban used to say, 'If I can't have you, I can ruin you.'" We laughed at it back then. I wish we hadn't. Investigators confronted Christian, but by then, he was gone. His number disconnected. His last digital footprint was a cash withdrawal and a border crossing alert, south, toward Chiapas. He vanished. Just like the pink box that entered her salon but was never found. Just like the man who walked away from her body. Just like the footage from a missing half of the CCTV feed. But the clues weren't just digital. Valeria's salon assistant, Alejandra, told police something that seemed trivial at first. She stopped staying late. She started doing these weird checks, like double-locking the back door, turning off the lights during calls. She said she felt like someone was watching her car. 1 week before her death, Valeria pinned a comment on her last TikTok live. A throwaway line to most, but maybe not to her. Gift delivery? Don't play with me, I'm not opening anything today, LOL. It seemed like a joke, but now it read like a warning. As detectives traced more DMs, one account used language eerily similar to Esteban's past text to her. Syntax, grammar, even the odd phrase, "you got to" used to applause. A digital linguistics expert concluded with moderate confidence that at least one of the threatening messages came from someone with intimate knowledge of Valeria's speech patterns and personal history. But was it Esteban himself? Or someone paid? Someone close? Valeria's family confirmed. She had refused Esteban's recent attempts to talk. He'd shown up twice in the last month, once outside her condo gate, and once uninvited at her cousin's birthday dinner. No police report, no restraining order, just quiet avoidance. Women are often told to document everything. But what if silence is the only safety they think they have left? And so the questions multiplied. Was the IP address a coincidence? Was Esteban connected to Christian's disappearance, or simply buried under the same rumors? Why did Valeria's salon only have one of its 3 outdoor security cameras functioning on the day she died? Most chilling of all, one follower, watching her final livestream on replay, claimed they saw something. The reflection, in the mirror behind her chair. A figure, blurry, in the shadows, moving near the back door. No one else was in the salon, she had said. Police reviewed the clip. Paused. Zoomed. Enhanced. Nothing definitive. But still something. We scroll past horror, every day. Until the day it scrolls back. That video remains online, preserved by fans and followers, some of whom believe it holds the truth. Others believe it's a ghost. But for investigators, the picture was becoming clearer. The threat wasn't just anonymous. It wasn't just virtual. It was proximity. It was the people she once trusted, or the ones they trusted, or the ones they owed. When death moves through your comment section and vanishes into real life, what happens when your killer isn't in the shadows, but hiding just 1 degree away?